Welcome into Last Call here at WagerTalk TV. I'm Meghan Payton. Happy Saturday. So much on the slate this Saturday morning, and we've got the best panel to break it all down. If you're new here to Last Call, the goal of this show is to get everyone involved. So head on over to the YouTube live chat right now. It's your chance to ask the panel and handicappers anything you'd like. I'm telling you, I'm just here to pass along information. You guys get to lead the show. Bryan Power is going to be up first to take us off with some college basketball. We're going to have Drew Martin, Carmine, Bianco, and Moneyline Matt all here to break down what's going on in NBA, NHL, college basketball. So right now, head on over, get your questions in. I'll navigate who answers what. First up, Bryan Power here to talk some college basketball. Thank you so much for joining us here on Saturday. Bryan, how are you doing this morning?
Well, doing pretty good, Megan. It's been a great start to March, peaking at the right time in college hoops. 9-1, our last 10. Number one overall for the month here at Wager Talk in college basketball. So I think it's a great time to be peaking in college hoops, obviously, being that the tournament is next week and we have so much conference tournament action. Still, obviously, some finals and semifinals to break down today. And I have 4 plays. So still getting after it, looking for another big day and a big weekend.
Bryan Power, 9-1, the last 10 in college hoops. You've got a March Madness special over at wagertalk.com. Explain to the audience what that is and where they can find it.
Yeah, it's real simple. No coupon code needed. 100, and this applies to everybody, not just me. $149 gets you the rest of the season. Every pick through the national championship game. You're not going to get a better deal than that. I would highly recommend you hop on board that right now.
Ryan, the Big Ten tournament continues. Let's talk a little college hoops. We're looking at Ohio State at Purdue. Tip off real soon here, 1 p.m. Eastern. Purdue is 7.5 point favorites, and the total's at 132.5. Ohio State, though, they've won 5 of their last 6. Any leans in this matchup?
Oh, I do have a lean, Megan. And let's just back up here about, I think it was a month or so ago. I was on with Teddy Covers on a Sirius XM radio show, and he asked me about some buy low teams in college hoops, and I gave out Ohio State, and he sort of audibly gasped at the time, if I recall. And I do have to admit, Megan, there was for a few weeks there, I was kind of looking to have that tape burned, quite frankly, because Ohio State they stunk for a while. They lost 14 of 15, failed to cover 9 in a row, but start to feel a little vindicated with that call from last month because, as you mentioned, the Buckeyes have gotten it going. They are now in the Big Ten semifinals. They've covered 6 straight games. They have now won 3 times in 3 days, including wire-to-wire victories over Wisconsin and Michigan State. Now they play the top-seeded Purdue Boilermakers, who had a close call themselves against Rutgers yesterday. They did not get the cover, Purdue, when Rutgers got a late tip-in to steal the cover, although it was a deserved cover, I think, for Rutgers. They were basically covering the entire game. But I was on Ohio State yesterday, Megan. I was on Ohio State when they beat Wisconsin as well in the first round. Now, I was a little nervous when Bryce Sensabaugh was ruled out, and what we saw yesterday was a classic overreaction by bettors, okay? Ohio State, they were plus 4.5, and then all of a sudden I'm looking at the Wager Talk odds screen. Number just shoots up to 6.5. I said, what's going on? Well, I look at Twitter. Sensabaugh's been ruled out. I'm like, my goodness, what do we do here? And I said, you know what? I believe in this team. Let's stick with it. And closing line value does not matter, Megan, when you have an outright win. So I was very happy there. They led, the last 35 minutes of that game. So it was a heck of a performance by the Buckeyes. They shot lights out, 52.6% from 3, held Michigan State to 18.8% from 3. And Purdue here, I know people love Edey, but I think their backcourt can be had. They're freshmen. They look like they've hit a freshman wall. You can penetrate against this backcourt. I'm not as high on Purdue as most people are. Purdue now is 1-6 against the number their last 7 games, and their last 3 wins have been by a total of 13 points. Ohio State, they've gotten hot at the right time. Of course, the only way they can make the NCAA tournament is by winning the Big Ten tournament. Purdue, they know they're already in the big dance, so I think the motivation lies with the Buckeyes. And getting back to that record that I led off with, Megan, when they were struggling so much, we need to provide some context. 9 of Ohio State's 15 conference losses have been by 7 points or less. I know a lot of the folks trust, and use KenPom, the KenPom ratings here on the site. Now, I use it all the time. you click on the luck column over at KenPom, Megan, Ohio State has spent the balance of the year at the very bottom of the luck rating. So this is a team that is better than its record. We're seeing that now. The luck is starting to turn. I like Ohio State plus the points here in the first Big Ten semifinal.
Let's continue this talk, Brian. Penn State at Indiana, tip off 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Eric Clark wants to know, Indiana has never won a Big Ten conference title. Does that change today?
I like them against Penn State. Whether or not they'll, we'll see who they match up with in the final. Obviously, the winner of the game we just talked about. Important to note, Indiana was the favorite, coming the preseason favorite to win the Big Ten. I have them rated as the second best team in the Big Ten right now, behind Purdue, but it's pretty close, the gap. So I think Indiana wins today to get to the final. We'll see who they match up with tomorrow. Obviously, if it's Ohio State's more desperate than Indiana. But if Indiana is that determined to win their first Big Ten tournament, who knows? Maybe they would be the play. But I do like Indiana to advance today.
Darcy wants to know Duke at Virginia. Any leans in that matchup?
Yeah, I like Duke. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think Duke is actually underrated. And I never thought in my life I would ever say something like that about a Duke team. But the ACC is really down this year, Megan, like really bad. There were no teams in the KenPom top 25 from the ACC going into the conference tournament. Now, I have Duke power rated as the best team in the ACC. Virginia is a team I have been way lower on than the pollsters all year. Now, I did play Virginia, getting a good number against North Carolina the other day. That was a nice winner. But Duke, they have revenge on the mind. I know a lot of people remember the last time these teams played, the only time they met in the regular season. Duke got jobbed by the officials. Again, something else you don't ever expect to say, Duke getting jobbed by the officials, but they did on the final play of regulation. The game goes to overtime. They don't even cover in overtime, Megan. My goodness. But they have not lost since that game. So I think Duke is going to win the ACC tournament. Look for them to cut the nets down.
Bryan Power, number one in March, 9-1 the last 10 in college hoops. You've got a March Madness special up at WagerTalk.com, $149. We appreciate you joining us here Saturday morning on Last Call. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you very much, Brian.
Absolutely. Thanks, Megan.
We have plenty more college hoops action going on, NBA action. Carmine's going to jump on, talk a little NHL. So, any thoughts that you're currently having, any questions, if you're pondering, should I play this? Should I not? You've got a live look, a live into these panels' heads, their brains. I pick their brains all the time. It's now your chance. Drew Martin here to break down some more college basketball. Drew, thank you so much for joining us. You've been doing fantastic the last 8 days, 60%. You've got a college basketball 3-pick package up. Can you explain what that is up at wagertalk.com?
Sure. Yeah. I actually, Megan, thanks for having me on. Happy Saturday morning to you. And yeah, got one in the SEC. It's a conference I cover pretty closely here. It just means more as an alumni, but in all seriousness, the Texas A&M Aggies, they were laying 5.5. Some people jumped on that last night. Now the Wager Talk live odds screen showing -6 pretty much across the board right now, Megan. And it's a game I like. I mean, this is a Texas A&M Aggie team that I believe has the most underrated guard combination in the country. I mean, these guys, when you watch them play, Wade Taylor, their point guard, he really takes it out and is able to drive to the basket. And I think that's just a tough matchup going at, midday Saturday here, 3:30, I believe, is the estimated tip time in the SEC tournament, Megan. And up against Vanderbilt, their best player, Liam Robbins, he's a big guy, down low, their leading scorer on the season. He's out for the year now. It was just announced last week. He's having surgery. And Vanderbilt being able to make it to this point in the SEC tournament is a great story. It's a fun team to kind of root for. Jerry Stackhouse, he played in the NBA. He's the coach there. They're playing in the Music City. They're in Nashville. It's a fun kind of story to root for, but they're up against, in my opinion, the best team in the SEC in Texas A&M. And yeah, wrote it up on my page here, Wager Talk Drew Martin, of why I'm betting Texas A&M and wanted to talk about it with you on the show. So I think the Aggies midday today, -6. That's a great play today, Megan.
And you were right. Tip off at 3:30 p.m. Eastern for that one. A&M 6.5 point favorite. Total at 140.5. I know another game you're looking at today is going to be UAB at Florida Atlantic. Tip off for that one later this evening, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. UAB -2.5 right now. Total at about 148.5. How are we approaching this one, Drew?
Sure, a little bit later tonight. I believe this one, yeah, 8:30 tonight. And it is a good one in Conference USA, guys. The Conference USA tournament here, two really solid teams. I guess we could say, a little mid-major-ish, although I'm a big fan of Conference USA. I think it's a good basketball conference, and for that matter, a decent football conference. We've seen UAB, the Blazers here, take some money, and there's a good reason why. I mean, we see bettors come into college basketball, in February and March, Meghan, and they like teams that are making them money. And this is one of the hottest teams in the country right now. UAB has won 8 straight games, 12 of their last 13. These two teams, of course, playing twice this season. They split the season series. But Andy Kennedy, the head coach for UAB, they are scoring some points. And their best player, this is a profile I like to bet come March. Teams with really good point guard play, and they start their kind of drive to the basket with their best player at the point guard position, similar to just Texas A&M and Wade Taylor. Why I like them, UAB and their ability to score, Meghan, is top of the charts here. Kind of when you get out of the major Power 5 conferences, watch out for this team in the tournament. If they do make it, their point guard, Jordan Walker, he's a senior point guard. He scored 32 points, 41 points, and 27 points in his last 3 games here for UAB, obviously making it here to the Conference USA Championship. And FAU, a team that's been really good all season long. I mean, they're 30-3. They've kind of stepped up in class very well. So coming into the tournament, March Madness, this is a team that might get a couple upsets as well if they're lucky enough. They're top 40 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. That's another type of profile I looked at bet coming in March. Teams that are efficient on both sides of the floor, those teams tend to do pretty well in the tournament. So Jarnell Davis, one of their best players, he's just 6'4", but he kind of plays that power forward position. He can get to the basket very easily. So a great matchup overall, Meghan. And I think it's tough sidewise. But where I went after this is totals wise. 148, if you shop around 148.5 is widely available right now. And I think both of these two teams go at it. They've scored in both of the 2 games they played in the matchup together. They both score a lot right now. I mean, FAU, I'm actually about 20 minutes from their campus, and you see their billboards. Their kind of slogan, if you remember in football, it was winning in paradise under Lane Kiffin. Well, they've kind of done a little play on words, and it's scoring in paradise right now. So they're trying to play up tempo, and we'll see if that happens. A lot of possessions today, flirting with 150 with the total. I think it actually gets up and over in Frisco, Texas today. I think there's a lot of scoring. So I like UAB and FAU over 148.5 today, Meghan.
Drew, Alabama's a 9.5 point favorite today against Missouri. Lots of questions in the YouTube live chat coming in. Gmode 504 wants to know, what do you think about Alabama covering in this one? That one tips off at 1 p.m. Eastern.
What's it at now, Meghan? 9.5, you said?
It's 9.5. Bama 9.5 point
Yeah.
favorite. The total is at 157.5. If you're going to bet Bama money line, it's -530.
I wouldn't do that. I'm not a
Yeah.
huge like betting the money line, and I mean, think about that, guys. You're laying $530 just to win 100. And Missouri's hot right now. I mean, they're in the Final Four of the SEC tournament. I don't like this Missouri Tigers team, and I know a lot of guys. We've done shows here, the college basketball show with Joe Ranieri, and guys, hey, I'm betting Missouri. That when I watch them play, and they're playing really good basketball right now. I don't know. I don't think that they have that, the talent level of the other top of the SEC teams like Alabama, like Texas A&M. So, Meghan, I think I do think Alabama wins this game. However, we could, I guess, talk about, the off-the-court issues with Nate Oates' team. So I think they overcome that. When you watch this team play, first off, they have a type of profile that you just don't see a lot of, guys, and that is up tempo, one of the fastest, teams in terms of wanting to get possessions. yet their defensive efficiency is really good. You normally don't see that. The teams that want to go up and down, they normally don't play as good a defense. Well, Alabama does. So I just don't look to go up against Alabama. But at the same time, Megan, it's not really, my cup of tea to be laying 9.5 here in what should be a competitive game. It will be a fun one to watch here in Nashville. That one goes off soon, I believe at noon Eastern, so in about 40 minutes. It's not a game that I bet. Sorry that I don't have like that strong of opinion. But if you need something, I know it's high, touching, near 160 here, 157.5, I believe the total.
157.5, yeah.
Yeah, both of these two teams can score, though, Megan. And we've seen the referees in the SEC call more fouls, which means, coming towards the end of the game, both of these two teams getting in the bonus and getting to the free throw line. So I wouldn't be surprised if, one of these two teams gets to, 85. If Alabama wins something like, I don't know, 87-80, something like that, really high scoring. I actually like this one up and over as well.
Drew, last question for you. Alabama with the shortest odds to win the SEC, but William wants to know, does Texas A&M pull off the win? And they are at plus 185 to win the SEC tournament.
I think they do. I think that they have the best guard play. And it's almost one of those things, Megan. I was watching the Texas A&M game just yesterday, and part of me was wanting them to actually lose the game, because then I think that they'll be more underseeded in the NCAA tournament. And it's almost like planning ahead as a sports bettor. We can get more value betting them in the real tournament here, in the tournament of 64. That didn't happen. I think that they're going to beat Vanderbilt. So therefore, when you get to the championship game, likely against Alabama, we'll see though if Missouri can give them a go. I think Texas A&M is going to win the SEC. I think Texas A&M is the best team in the SEC. And also as a team to bet, I mean, they're 22-10 against the spread. That is, you've been making a ton of money if you've been betting them all season long. So I don't see a reason to stop now. They're healthy. They're well coached under Buzz Williams. And again, I go back to the guard play in March, and they have one of the best guard combos in the country. So I'm not looking to bet against Texas A&M by any means, Megan.
Drew, I lied to you. We have one more coming in. This one was just too good to pass on. Jay Des wants to say, backwards hat Drew on a Saturday morning, dropping some knowledge bombs. Any value in betting futures for NCAA championship winners before the bracket is actually established?
Man, I'm not a huge futures bettor, Megan. Thanks for the comment out there, but I would say this. Hey, it's early on a Saturday. I was up until 3 a.m. breaking down these numbers, so you know what it is. But Megan, I'll say this about futures. I always go back to, to make a bet in sports betting, it's one of the best bets in the casino. It's minus 110 at sometimes you can get it less, but minus 110, you're risking 110 to win 100. Futures, depending on the book, it almost goes down to, if you're making a bet on every team, you're risking like 140 to make 100. So just, the take for the casino is higher in the futures market. If you're newer to sports betting, just coming in, for March betting college basketball, that's how I would explain it. Why I tend to bet more just straight bets, side and total. That's the reason. But hey, for futures, a little bit more entertainment value. Hey, not to get, too fancy here. Go back to the Aggies. I believe they're 160-1. If you're looking to roll the dice, guys, to win the national championship here with a team that's a little bit more off the radar, right? Like if you want to bet one of the top teams, Houston or whatever, are you really getting that much bang for your buck? I don't think so. So if I'm going to bet a future, I want to have a big plus price, Megan. Maybe take a chance here with Texas A&M, a big plus price on the Aggies.
I'm pulling that up right now just to get our actual odds on what that would be. But as we get that number, Drew, we appreciate you joining us here at WagerTalk's Last Call, breaking down all the college basketball, lots of hoops action happening this Saturday morning. You can find Drew Martin at WagerTalk.com. He's been a fantastic last 8 days, 60%. He's got a college basketball 3-pick package up. Go ahead and get that right now. Thank you very much, Drew. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Megan, thank you. Have a great weekend.
Let's switch gears here. Let's talk a little hockey. NHL, Carmine Bianco, the best to break that down. He also breaks down soccer. So anyone thinking ahead, thinking about some soccer plays they want to look at, some NHL, Carmine Bianco is your guy. Moneyline Matt's going to be joining us afterwards to break down some NBA action. So whatever you're thinking right now, just put it in the chat. Let's get to it. Carmine Bianco, thank you very much for joining us. Happy Saturday. How are you doing this morning?
Thanks for having me on. I'm doing great. While listening to the guys and yourself talking, I'm watching some soccer off on the side and off to a good start this morning thus far. It looks like a 3-0 day so far. So I'm pretty happy about that with a lot of NHL still to follow today. It's a huge slate of action on the ice.
Carmine, you've got a 5% play up for NHL today. You've been 252 and 179 in NHL since November 1st. What's this 5%er? Can you give us a little inside scoop at what this wagertalk.com play is going to be?
It's well, I talk on Puck Time a lot. Andrew McInnes and myself hosted it at 11 a.m. on Wager Talk TV Monday to Fridays, and I do a lot of scheduling, and you can find some really good spots. And one of them happened on this past Thursday, where for about a week and a half or 2 weeks, I'd been telling people that the Buffalo Sabres were about to hit a terrible scheduling spot, and it came to a full blow on pretty much on Thursday. I released the Dallas Stars minus 145 as a 5% play, and they beat Buffalo 10-4. I don't think any team has scored 10 goals this season, but they did. It just got progressively worse for the Sabres throughout that game. It's always good to have those no sweat games where start to finish you've got the lead, and you're pretty happy about it. So a similar one, a scheduling spot I really like tonight in the NHL, and there's some very good matchups. So I'm just we're at 70% with 5% plays in NHL in 2023. So let's see if we can keep that going. But we have one pretty good game that I want to discuss today.
All right, going to break us down, give us a free play. I heard we might even be getting a bonus play in this one. We've got the New Jersey Devils at Montreal Canadiens. Puck drop at 7 p.m. Eastern. Devils are minus 280, and the total at 6.5. Montreal cannot win a game. It's been 5 straight losses for them. What's the approach in this matchup?
Yeah, Montreal should really be in. They should be really focusing on pretty much tanking the season. I know it's hard to do tanking a season, but you want to get one of the best percentages as possible in the draft in order to get Connor Bedard. He's going to be a definite talent and a game changer for whichever franchise is able to get them. But the Canadiens have been competing. They compete each and every game, but they still find a way to lose, and it's just because they aren't very good defensively and between the pipes. But they found a way 3 weeks ago to go into New Jersey and upset the Devils 5-2. So at least from a game perspective, I think this is a good spot for the Devils to get a little bit of revenge. But I'm not looking at actually betting the Devils. I'm looking at betting the total in this one. And for a few reasons. Since the turn of the year in 2023, the Devils have been playing phenomenal hockey. They've yet to lose back-to-back games. And one of the reasons for that is they're scoring goals. Their average goals per game has increased in the second half of the season. But even like their last 10 games, 8-1-1 to the over for this team. And you look at, obviously, from Montreal's end, Montreal's 7-1 to the over their last 8 games at home, 10-4-1 their last 15. And it's normally not Montreal doing a bulk of that scoring. This has the look of a slanted New Jersey scoreline tonight, probably something in that 6-2. If I had to throw an exact kind of score out there, Megan, I'd probably say 6-2 for the Devils. I think they get it done. I think they win by margin tonight. But as opposed to taking the Devils at that high money line or even the puck line, which you'd still have to lay juice on, I'd rather take the total here. I think we get enough scoring from both teams that this definitely goes over that total of 6.5.
Carmine, perfect question to lead up here. Chris wants to know, what is your shot prop of the day? And I heard you might be looking at one in this game.
Yeah, props have been going extremely well. Number one with NHL shot props at WagerTalk. and I focused a lot on them over the last 2 3 months, and they're hitting. And this one's an interesting one, and it's based on the fact that I think New Jersey is going to do a lot of this scoring today. I think their shot total is going to be higher today, and Jack Hughes is a player that throughout New Jersey's season has, uh, even as a defenseman, he's been garnering so many shots on so many shots on goal. He's averaging 4.51 shots per game on goal. So his numbers are normally at 4.5, and you normally have to pay juice on it. Tonight he's actually plus 110, plus 120 on the over 4.5 shots on goal. On the road, he's averaging, I think it's 4.66 shots per game. And against the Montreal Canadiens, twice this year, they've played twice this year. He's registered 11 shots on goal. It's one of those ones where I think the fact that I feel New Jersey not only wins this game, wins it by margin, they're going to score goals. They're going to get a lot of shots on goal tonight. That Jack Hughes will be a big part of that. So I like that shot prop. And anytime you get plus money on a shot prop, I'm always willing to take it. Obviously, it's at 4.5 shots, you need 5 to win. But he's done it his last couple of games, 5 and 6. And he's done it quite often this year. He's been very profitable with his shot props this year.
Carmine, we've got lots of NHL to break down, so don't go anywhere. But I want to remind our audience NBA questions coming up next with Moneyline Matt. So start thinking about basketball. We had Drew on talking about college basketball. 50 to 1 A&M if you're looking to get some futures action in. All right, Carmine, we're back to NHL. What do you think about a Moneyline parlay tonight? Colorado, Minnesota. This question's coming in from Tyler.
Uh, well, I expect both teams. Obviously, I expect both teams to win. I think uh, taking a two-teamer that normally, if you take a parlay, an NHL money line parlay, you want to get it as close to even money with a couple of big favorites, and that's not really going to happen with the Avalanche. I think the Avalanche are minus. Looking at the Wager Talk live lines, I think they're minus 445. So even that with Minnesota minus 180, you're still going to be laying juice on a parlay. There's a couple you could very well if you like those two teams. I would probably say toss in the a third one and take the Boston Bruins. The Bruins are coming off a rare home loss to the Edmonton Oilers. They play at I think noon or 1 p.m. today against the Detroit Red Wings, who are coming off a win themselves, but pretty much tanked the rest of their season. They had lost 5 or 6 in a row prior to that. They beat Chicago, who isn't a big win per se. And I think the Bruins rebound with the win. So you might want to toss that in there, and that probably gets you down to even money on a parlay. Uh, Laying juice on a parlay is I don't think is a good thing.
Carmine, this is a really good question coming in from sports betting and poker. Does anyone know how a team does historically coming off scoring 10 goals? Dallas put up 10 goals on Thursday against Buffalo. They won, obviously, 10-4. How do you approach this one?
It's tough because if Ralph Michaels was here, I'm sure he would find that angle. But it's really not one that um, when you look at that game, and as I said, Dallas scored 10 goals against the Sabres. The final XG numbers on that were so low in comparison to the final score. The final XG numbers in that game were I think it was 4.27 for Dallas, 1.75 for the Sabres. So 6 expected goals total, and there was 14 goals in the game. The Sabres had one of their backup goalies in net in Comrie, and he stayed in goal for all 10 goals. Renato did not pull him from the game and told him basically you need to stay in goal because they needed Luukkonen for today's game against the Rangers. So, and because of the scheduling spot, but pretty much Dallas was scoring at will, and they were scoring from the blue line. They were wrist shots on goal were going in. It literally, I think I tweeted out that it looked like the Sabres had a cardboard figure in goal tonight. As far as um, Dallas, if you think that they're going to fall flat in this game, they're playing Seattle. Seattle is a team that plays well and is currently in a playoff spot, so they could very well give Dallas a bit of trouble tonight, and that's probably why the line is where it is right now. I think is at minus 125. At least that's where it opened. So it's probably a game I would shy away from, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Dallas Stars lost that game.
One final comment, Carmine, before we let you go. Sprinkled on the 6 and 60 coming in the YouTube live chat, referring to puck time. Can you tell us a little bit about where we can find you for those that are not familiar with puck time?
Yes. So the 6 and 60 is I'm just going to run through that really quickly. But the 6 and 60 is a segment that I do every Friday where I do like an advanced look on 6 games on Sunday in 60 seconds. And those games were, just to rattle them off very quickly, the Buffalo Sabres and the New York Rangers. I said to take the Rangers in regulation time. That line opened at 150. It's at 165 right now for the Rangers. And I think it's because again, the scheduling spot for the Sabres, and they're not playing very good hockey right now. Colorado and Arizona, I said to take Colorado in regulation time. You can bring down that big number to something more manageable and maybe put that one in your parlay regulation. Tampa Bay and Chicago, I expect it to be a high scoring game. I said to take the over in that game. Elliott will start in goal for Tampa instead of Vasilevsky. And it's for Chicago is, I think it's Mrazek. I'm not sure who's in goal for Chicago. Montreal, New Jersey, I said to take New Jersey in regulation time. I also told you I like the over in that game. Vancouver and Ottawa, I said to take Ottawa in that game. They're playing extremely well right now and scoring a lot of goals. They've won 6 of the last 7. And then San Jose, Minnesota, I played the contrarian the last time Minnesota played and took the over. They had gone under the total 15 or they had gone 15, 1 and 2 their last 18 games under the total. I played the contrarian and said they would go over, and they did. And I think a similar one tonight that's going to go over against San Jose. The Sharks aren't playing any defense whatsoever. It's a very good game to where the total is 6 to see maybe some pond hockey in the late game tonight and some goals.
Carmine Bianco, we appreciate your time. Go check him out, wagertalk.com. Carmine's got a 5% play up tonight, 252 and 179 in NHL since November 1st. We love picking your brain about the hockey, soccer, all of the above. Thank you very much, Carmine.
Thanks for having me.
And to wrap up this episode of Last Call, we're going to have Moneyline Matt on here to break down some NBA. So start switching gears. Let's talk some basketball. Moneyline Matt here to break it all down. Matt has been doing fantastic. He's been 10 and 2 the last 12 on Moneyline plays, and he's got an all access pass. Hoop 7, 37 or $39 for 7 days. Matt, explain that a little bit more before we start breaking down some of your actions tonight.
Yeah, Hoop 7, you get all access to all of our plays. It's not just myself, it's Ronald Kabang, anyone who is on the NBA Triple Double show. We do that Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 p.m. Was also on Prop It Up yesterday, which was really cool. Gave out Trae Young, nice enough for him to go out and hit for us. So just looking to keep this rolling. You know, this is actually one of the better Saturday slates I've seen in a second. There's a lot of games with opportunity here, and I'm ready to break it down with everyone.
Well, Matt, we're looking at 2 NBA games already on the slate, and we're going to have more questions coming in the YouTube live chat. First game we're going to talk about is the Sacramento Kings at the Phoenix Suns. Tip off for that one, 9:10 p.m. Eastern. Suns are a 3.5-point favorite as of now. 240.5 is the total there. The Kings have won the last 2, 7 of their last 8, and the Suns have won 4 straight, 7 of their last 9. But the big news is this KD injury does not seem to be looking good. Sprained ankle, going to be missing at least 3 weeks are the reports. Anything that you're going to be looking up in this matchup out in Phoenix?
Yeah, I'll be honest. This is going to be probably my favorite game for the Saturday slate. And anytime you look at an NBA slate and you see a high total with a close spread, you can probably point at that and be like, that's probably Matt's favorite play today. And for one, you know, the Sacramento Kings are a team that I love to attack. You know, all season long, they've been one of my favorite teams to bet with or bet against. And today we're actually going to be not exactly betting against them, but we're going to be looking at Chris Paul. And Chris Paul to have a double-double today is actually plus 140. And that's some of the best odds that I've seen attached to Chris Paul. And, you know, this is a Kings team. You know, a lot of this does have to do with the Suns playing the Kings. The Kings have the #1 offense throughout all of basketball. They have the 26th ranked defense, so you know some give and take there. That they're 10th overall in pace, so getting up and down the court nice and quick. But one thing that I think people overlook with the Sacramento Kings is the fact that they are the number one team in terms of pace and average offensive possession length. So right when they get down into their end of the court, they get into their action very, very quick, and they attack the basket. And a number of things can happen from that. They can score, you inbound the ball, you go real quick, or, you miss a shot, the ball gets outletted to Chris Paul very quickly, and then you're up and down the court just like that. On the season, Chris Paul is averaging 13 points, 9 assists, and 3 rebounds. And he's actually played the Sacramento Kings team before, once this season, had 17 points and 19 assists. That was also without Kevin Durant. And without Kevin Durant, they tend to go with a Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Josh Okogie, probably Torrey Craig at the 4, and then DeAndre Ayton at the 5. And then what that does, too, is they run that pick and roll with DeAndre Ayton against Domantas Sabonis. And Sabonis is one of those players who tends to get in foul trouble. Not saying that's going to happen here, but he may be a little reluctant to come out at DeAndre Ayton because that's where Chris Paul can attack. So this is a great spot for Chris Paul. For the Sacramento Kings, too, when going against point guards, they're giving up 25.20 points per game, which is 7th worst throughout the entire NBA, and also giving up 8.87 assists, which is 6th worst throughout the NBA. So all in all, I just think this is a great spot for Chris Paul. Chris Paul is coming off a game against the Oklahoma City Thunder where he did not hit a triple-double, but the Suns actually blew them out in that game as well. So for me, I feel like they've adjusted this line, giving us plus money just because of the fact that Kevin Durant is probably not playing, he's not playing. And I do understand that just because you get some really easy assists from Kevin Durant. He just makes that mid-range look so easy. But this is still Chris Paul and a Suns team who's, they're very experienced. They're seasoned together. They played all the time. You can do the same exact thing with Devin Booker. And really what I'm looking to here is DeAndre Ayton. I think DeAndre Ayton's going to have a good game. And I think Chris Paul is going to be the one facilitating a lot of that. So I really like the look of this Chris Paul double-double against the Sacramento Kings tonight.
Chris Paul double-double and plus money. I like what you said about the Kings in pace, too. I just looked it up. It's been since February 14th that the Kings have had at least 120 points or more. I like this spot here, a high total with a short spread. There's another play that you're giving out to us. We're very lucky today, Matt. You're breaking down lots with us and giving out multiple free plays. You're looking at the Boston Celtics at the Atlanta Hawks. This one tips off at 7:40 p.m. Eastern. Celtics are a 4.5-point favorite, total at 237. There's a player prop I'm hearing that you're eyeing in this one.
Yeah, 100%. And this guy is Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics travel on the road to face off against the Atlanta Hawks this Saturday. And this is a spot where the Atlanta Hawks are coming off a back-to-back after winning last night against the Washington Wizards. So, anytime a team comes home after an extended road trip like that, I believe it was a 5-game road trip they were on, they're coming home. Their first game is a game I actually like to fade the home team. And I do that just because when you first come home, you tend to have tired legs at the, going towards that second half of the game. And it's actually that second home game that I tend to back them. So for me here, I think this Atlanta Hawks team will still be competitive, but I think they're going to have a tough matchup with Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is averaging 30.3 points per game, 8.8 rebounds, and 4.7 assists, while also hitting 30-plus points in 3 out of his last 4 matchups, going over 40 points twice. Okay, so in addition to that, Jason Tatum has also shot 20-plus times in 3 out of his last 4 matchups, and that's one thing that you have to look for. We talk about it all the time. It's volume, it's opportunity, things of that nature. And then again, with this Atlanta Hawks team, he's hitting 3 out of 5 there as well. So very consistent at this point in time, getting consistency with those shots as well. Again, that's what we look for. And this is an Atlanta Hawks team that does not do well against small forwards. They're giving up 23 points per game to the small forward position. That's 10th worst throughout the NBA. And then they're also giving up 8.8 rebounds to the small forward position, which is 5th worst throughout the NBA. This is also a game with a 236 total. We look for those high totals. The Atlanta Hawks run the 8th pace in all of basketball. And again, this is a time for the Boston Celtics where, they've actually lost more games than they've won as of late, which is a rare thing for the Celtics team. I think they want to get that consistency back. I think they want to start streaking as they go towards the playoffs. And I think this is what Jason Tatum does. Tonight he'll probably be matched up with DeAndre Hunter or someone along those lines. And, it doesn't really matter who's matched up with Jason Tatum when he's actually feeling it. He's coming off a game where he missed his point prop, so I like the bounce back here. So I'm looking at Jason Tatum over 29.5 points tonight.
Matt, I love that one. 3 of the last 4 games for Tatum, he's hit over 29.5. Rolling with that, we're going back though to Sacramento, Phoenix. I think everyone loved to hear your perspective on this fast-paced game. So we have a question coming in. Change your username so I can actually shout you out in the comments here. Over 123 for the first half. Sacramento versus Phoenix. Are we rolling with the over for that first half?
All right, well, he gave me a good laugh there. I'll give him that. But yeah, I'd go with the over there. I think this is going to be a good spot. I think we're going to have a pace-up matchup here. De'Aaron Fox, I think he's going to get his point prop, I believe, was 25.5, 26.5 today. I think that's a good spot right there, looking at De'Aaron Fox. And then one thing with the Sacramento Kings is they have pace and speed all over. If De'Aaron Fox comes out of the game, Davion Mitchell comes in. Davion Mitchell has been playing very good basketball as of late. Kevin Huerter is one of those guys who is incredibly streaky. If you see him stringing a couple games together, he tends to keep it going. He's also someone who shoots early in the shot clock. He's also someone who can push that basketball up. And then, of course, Domantas Sabonis. Domantas Sabonis has really been getting his assist game going on top of that. And, when I sit here and talk about the Sacramento Kings, you also got to look at the Phoenix Suns, because if I like Chris Paul tonight, I think he's going to get that team going early and often as well. This is a team, with that matchup, the Sacramento Kings and the Phoenix Suns, I do think that high pick and roll is going to be very tough for this Sacramento Kings team to cover. Domantas Sabonis does not like to come out away from the basket. That's where he likes to hang out. He likes to park it and pick up a lot of those rebounds and then outlet pass up the court. So I think that DeAndre Ayton matchup is going to be a tough one for them tonight. So for me, I see a lot of scoring in this game. So I would actually go over that first half over.
Jabraka42 says, Matt, what do you think about Knicks first quarter? The line right now is at 28.5.
Ooh, that's a tough one for me, just because with this Clippers team, this is a Clippers team that I find very tough to bet on at this point in time. It's tough for me. Honestly, yeah, if there was one way I would go, it would probably be the Knicks, because the Knicks are the more consistent team here. When looking at this Clippers squad, this Clippers team, you keep thinking they're going to wake up at some point in time. Like, this is a good roster. I don't exactly understand why they play so bad or why they give up so many leads. And personally, I do put a lot of the blame on Tyronn Lue. I don't like to pinpoint coaches and blame coaches, but some of his lineup changes, running Eric Gordon the entire second half just doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. And, you bring in guys like Bones Highland, and I understand he's a little topsy-turvy at times, but you're not even giving him minutes. So I don't know. I just don't understand this Clippers team at this point in time. You know what Paul George is going to get. You know what Kawhi is going to get in terms of minutes, usage, volume. Other than that, it's just kind of up in the air. So for me, yeah, I probably would go the Knicks, because Julius Randle playing incredible basketball right now, very aggressive. Isaiah Quickly, what a story he is. Plus 20,000 to potentially win Sixth Man of the Year. And now he's even money. Like, man, I wish I put $10 on that. So, yeah, they're just playing really good basketball. The only guy that I don't trust really is RJ Barrett. I see his line over around 20.5, 21.5. I don't trust that. I was actually looking at that and potentially going to go under with that one. But, yeah, if I were to go anywhere there, I think I'd be with you on the Knicks.
Matt, last one coming in from Tyler. You break down a lot with UFC as well. So any UFC leans in tonight's card?
Yeah, we'll talk Merab and Petr Yan, because I feel like that's the one that everyone is looking to. And, when you look at this fight, Yan, when I last looked, he was minus 280 straight up to win this fight. So you're always looking for a little additional value, And one thing that I was looking at, so I went to the double chance, okay? And the thing with Petr Yan is, when he wins his fights, it's by decision or it's by knockout. I believe only once in his entire career has he finished someone by submission. So that knocks it down to minus 250. Doesn't really give you a ton of odds there either. But when you go to exact outcome for Petr Yan, that is plus 120. So that exact outcome Jan by decision, plus 120. That's definitely something I'm flirting with. I haven't made an official play just yet, but very much considering it, because when you look at these two fighters stylistically, Jan, very much known for his gas tank. He's very good in terms of takedown defense. Just go look at the Aljamain Sterling fights. I believe Aljo tried to take him down 22 times in one fight and maybe got him 2 or 3. And the other one, I believe, he tried to take him down 17 times and only got 1 or 2. So again, very good takedown defense. And that is what Merab does. He wants to pressure you. He wants to try and push you against that cage. He wants to try and get you to that ground. And one other thing that I just kind of want to bring up, and it could actually affect both sides potentially, is the fact that Merab is in the same exact camp as Aljamain Sterling. Okay, so he could definitely give Merab some tips in regards to Petr Yan. And then on the other hand, you could say Yan wants to just go out there and, just bully Merab around and prove to Sterling that, I'm coming for you. I'm coming back for that belt. So for me, though, it's going to be a fight where I think it goes to the decision, just for the fact because Merab is known for having one of the craziest gas tanks throughout the entire division, the entire UFC. And that's the same thing with Yan. But Merab does not have the hands or striking ability that Petr Yan does. Yan is far more dangerous on the feet. He will throw, and one thing too that Yan is very, very good at is kicks up the middle, knees up the middle. And that's what you need in a fight like this. When you have someone who is going to come at you, try and get takedowns, try and push you up against the fence, the way you keep them away is through the middle. Like you go back and you look at some of Petr Yan's fights, I believe it was Uriah Faber that he knocked out cold with a front kick through the middle because he's trying to get those takedowns away. So for me, I definitely really like the look of Yan here, just because, again, going back to that striking, he has such an advantage on the feet that Merab is going to have to consistently go back to those takedowns and try and get those takedowns to keep him away from him, to keep him out of danger. Go back and look at the Aldo and Merab fight. One of the more boring fights I've ever watched, but that was the game plan. Merab was pushing him against the fence. He was trying to keep him out of danger. And here's the thing, Aldo, even at his age, 36, 37, something like that, even at that age, he's very dangerous. But I promise you, Yan is far more dangerous, okay? So for me, it's definitely going to be Yan by decision in this fight. If you wanted a parlay piece, I could understand the double chance, but there's just not enough discrepancy in that value there. So for me, it's the exact outcome at plus 120.
Moneyline Matt breaking down UFC, NBA. We so appreciate you here at Last Call. Make sure you guys go check out his all access pass at sportsmemo.com. $39. Use hoops 7, 10 and 2 the last 12 Moneyline plays. Matt, we appreciate your time. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Hey, appreciate you guys. Have a great Saturday, everyone. Let's cash some tickets.
And thank you all to the WagerTalk.com audience that comes and joins us every Saturday and Thursday. Voice in the wind. Sometimes I just watch Wager Talk for the personalities and the interactions. Some nuggets of wisdom come through even when not discussing a line or prop. We appreciate all of the kind words. We love coming here each and every week. Reminder for those who are new here, Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, Saturdays, 11 a.m. Eastern. We are here breaking down all of the action. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll see you here next time on Thursday, 3 p.m.